Good morning, and thank you for the kind words, Marco. And welcome, Catrin. Let me introduce Catrin Hinkel to you. Catrin is the CEO of Microsoft here in Switzerland. As Marco said, it's right next door, also in the circle. She's also a board member of Digital Switzerland and ASUD. She's an active member in many academic and social gremiums. She's been named, I believe, one of the most inspiring women in Germany and the most important woman in IT in Germany some time back. So again, welcome and thank you for sharing a few moments with us here and sharing some perspectives. Yesterday, we heard a lot about climate tech, clean tech, sus tech. What was your, if you think back, your personal trigger point, the moment when you realized that technology needs to play a huge role in driving impact and performance in the sustainability arena?
Well, you know, I've been in the technology business for 25 years, and I've always thought that the sustainability agenda needs to be supported by technology, especially if you look at how fast technology is developing in the recent years. And I think when I really saw cloud come to life, that's where I thought this is going to make a difference. Because all of a sudden we can actually have the data that we need to drive the sustainability that we need. And we saw that in all the presentations just now, how they use data to do the right thing, how they use data to create transparency into the consumption of CO2 and so on. And I think that is what's going to trigger people. And we see that with our customers as well. So we have a number of customers who actually use technology to do that. You know, I could name Schindler's Building Mines, who are around the real estate sector and reducing CO2. I mean, in that sector, you know, it's consuming huge amounts of CO2. I think across the world, and Schindler and Building Mines are using data to actually get transparency and reduce. Another Swiss company would be Buchwaldt Compression, as an example. They what they actually do is they use the HoloLens, and so they build massive equipment for ships, gas compression, and they use the HoloLens so that their engineers don't need to travel to all places in the world where maybe there is an issue around, you know, with the ship. So they can actually connect to a technician on board and explain and correct what's going wrong. So in that case, they don't even have to travel anymore to fix what needs fixing. So those are great examples of how data works in sustainability.
And with these examples and what you said about the emergence of cloud technology, etc., in mind, if you look at Switzerland and the Swiss business community, where do you see the community well positioned to drive the change that we need? And where do you think there's maybe a bit of homework still to be done?
I mean, just with the example as I mentioned, Switzerland is on a good path, or some companies are on a great path, let me put it this way. And this goes in line with the use of cloud technology, I think, and becoming a truly data-driven company, which means that you record data around your most important processes, most important results, and so on, and all of that will you know, becoming that data-driven company that uses that data will actually make a difference. We are helping with some technology. So Microsoft has this Cloud for Sustainability as a platform that allows to record and analyze data around sustainability very easily for companies. I don't think Switzerland is worse or better than others, but what I do like is that there's a lot of very agile companies that are picking up on this quite quickly.
Sorry, no, I just since you mentioned Microsoft, obviously you're the CEO of Microsoft here in Switzerland. How do you approach this whole space, sustainability? How is it playing out in your daily life at Microsoft, and how do you see the opportunity for Microsoft in the market?
Well, actually, there is no customer meeting at the moment that does not touch on sustainability, which I think is good news. We were not in that place even a few years ago. So the interest is high. Execution is maybe not quite where we need it to be. But Microsoft is heavily engaging in tools, in building that platform, but also in collaborating with companies and investing into startups that are close to the topic. So I think we cannot just build on, just be happy about what we've achieved, but also invest into Climeworks, as an example, is a company that's a spin-off from, I think, ETH. So we invest in those kinds of startups that engage in that space and work together with them to create new ideas and new platforms, and we're their customer as well. So this is a great example of how we take this further.
Thank you. And if I'm not mistaken, just recently you partnered with the UN Global Compact Network in Switzerland and Liechtenstein and EY. Can you tell us a little bit about this new circle, this partnership? What are you trying to achieve with joining that group?
Sure. I mean, UN Global Compact, if you and that's why we're partnering with them, is trying to bring together a number of different companies in different spaces to solve this together. Because I think the problem at hand is so big that it will not be solved by one company trying to do their best. This is about how we collaborate, and Climeworks is an example. We collaborate with academia, we collaborate with startups, we collaborate with other big companies, and with our customers to actually come together around this common target. And I think that's where the magic happens, if you will. This is where the big things can be moved forward, especially if you look at IT and what's happening in the industry. Without an ecosystem, you will not be able to move things forward. So this is not about one being on their own and creating their own results. This is about how we do this together.
I sit here as a strategy advisor, so Ey-Parthenon, for those who don't know, is the strategy arm of EY, and I'm typically being asked for advice. Now I have the luxury of asking the questions today, so if and there's lots of startups and some large corporates here in the room as well, what would be your advice for the businesses that we have here to say, how do you best scale all the great technology we're seeing emerge, and what is important along the journey? So some strategic advice for growth and scaling up from you.
There's clearly a few points that we see. So the first one that I would really address is that we have to, not just as companies, but as governments, actually broaden and strengthen governance and accountability frameworks. We have to be very clear on what we're looking at and how we're going to look at it. This will not be perfect, but this is definitely something that keeps evolving. But that's clearly something we need to do that. I think on top of that, everyone, every company, every government needs to look at a risk assessment in that space. So what are the influencing factors in our own business? That's definitely something that we do as Microsoft in a very focused way, and we address them ahead of time. And without that holistic risk assessment, I don't think we can actually make progress. And again, some of the startups mentioned that how they look at the full range of travel and comparing data that people have not seen or looked at before, flying from Paris to London or going on a train. I don't think a lot of people are aware about the CO2 consumption impact that they are having by doing that in concrete numbers. And I think that's my last point. We have to measure and gather data as much as we can.
Now we're out of time already, and I don't know whether Marco is already getting at us, but maybe with the ask of a very short answer. I mean, we also have some investors here. You looked at all the segments that were presented. So where if you were to put your money at one of those segments to say which of those segments, if we look back in 10 years' time, will have grown fastest and have created most impact, which would it be? Wild guess?
Sorry, the segment in which I would invest.
The segment from what we've seen today, we had deforestation, we had many things around climate tech yesterday on stage, the whole arena. Any investment guidance for
it has to be around technology and climate.
Okay, well, and there's a wide range of options for the audience. Thank you so much for your time. I know you have a very busy schedule, and yeah, hope it was interesting, and have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.